Hello friend. I want to tell you about the Suzuki Jimny. It is the simplest car that could be bought after 2020, meeting the Euro 6 emission standard. It is an off-road model built on a frame, equipped with a reduction gear and four-wheel drive, 2 rigid axles and a 1.5 naturally aspirated engine. It is not very dynamic, loud. It is safe to drive at speeds of 100 to 110 km per hour, but its off-road prowess is unquestionable. Driving economy is also very good, because average fuel consumption of 7 to 8 L 100 km for any other off-road vehicle is unattainable. Interestingly, some people install autogas systems in these cars, placing the toroidal tank on the floor in the boot in the Pro version. They raise the floor, which means they lose some of the cargo space. There are no major problems with LPG power, because the engine is suitable for it, although adjusting the valves with the so-called glasses can be troublesome after a longer mileage. The Jimny interior is simple, hard, tight and very austere, but it has what you really need. In the passenger version, 2 adults can even fit in the back, but then those in the front have to move forward a little. Then there is practically no boot, 85 L left. Even 2 properly packed backpacks won't fit. That's why, contrary to appearances, the Pro truck version is a good idea. It no longer pretends to be a 4-seater, and the boot is large and safely separated from the passenger compartment. Only the 5-door version with an extended wheelbase offers relatively comfortable travel conditions and a boot, 211 L. Although don't expect much space in the back. And it's still a car registered as a 4-seater. Suzuki Jimny, engine and drive. Only one engine was offered for the Jimny. It is a 1.5-liter petrol unit with variable valve timing, no supercharging, indirect injection. It has no GPF filter. It is designated K15B and was not used in other Suzuki models on the European market. The 102 HP engine with a maximum torque of 130 Nm was combined with 2 types of gearboxes. The manual has 5 gears, but the automatic has only 4. The drive is then transferred to a 2-speed reducer, which is also responsible for connecting the front axle drive. This is done manually with a lever in the cabin. The car can only drive on a paved road with rear-wheel drive. There will of course be no thread about engine choice here, but there may be about gearbox choice. And this too should be a matter of taste. I have not had the opportunity to drive a Jimny with an automatic, so it is difficult for me to comment on the subject. However, the range of gear ratios shows that the transmission is rather focused on road driving, which is why a 2.6 reduction gear was used, 2.0 in the manual. The gear ratios in the axles are also different. There is certainly no doubt about the manual transmission, which surprises with both precision and good stepping. Suzuki Jimny, what's braking? The market for these cars is still small, so there is a bit of a lack of information, but I asked a few car owners. They claim that there is nothing wrong with this car. Of course, Jimnys are not as durable off-road as older SUVs, but they still cope well off-road. As city cars, because that is how they are used, they have no technical defects or typical faults. I do not know of a case where someone's Suzuki Jimny broke down. It is a truly failure-free car. The only drawback is the poorly protected frame against corrosion. This should be done preferably immediately after purchase. Engine. Due to the lack of power, some car owners make modifications. Phenomenal, excellently made, typical Japanese design, like Honda engines used to be. In order to achieve large power increases, several elements need to be replaced, but the engine is already well thought out from the factory. It has piston crown jetting, a phenomenally designed timing system, a well-built head. I think the engine has potential already in the head itself, where you can look for more power, without any other modifications. Even a small increase in torque could give satisfaction to customers, emphasizes Newton. I learned that automatic transmissions are armored, and can easily withstand off-road driving, even on off-road tires. Manual transmissions have not shown any weaknesses so far, although, as we know, Suzuki has had this problem many times. I also learned that rear brakes do not like driving in mud. When they get into the drums with water, their interior quickly corrodes. A common modification is to convert them to disc brakes. The most common modifications to the Jimny are a suspension lift and tires. Many people change the suspension not necessarily to drive off-road, but to make the car handle better on asphalt, which allows for higher cruising speeds on trips. If someone takes off-road driving seriously, they add a winch and axle locks. Some decide on a modification that allows them to completely turn off the traction control, which is more of a hindrance than a help off-road. The standard tire size for the Jimny is 195/80ths R15. There is no shortage of off-road rubber in this size, although there is not as much choice as for larger 4x4 vehicles. The maximum tire size that can be fitted to this car without major rebuilding is 31 inches. Then you are already making quite serious changes to the suspension, including changing the wishbones that correct the geometry. You also have to change the gear ratios in the axles. Thank you for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.